He's a good girl, huh, Kara? You're a good girl. What do you want, sissy? Let's see if anybody wants to hang out with me tonight. Reading some Christmas stories. Hey, thanks for joining. How are you? How's all the chickens? Like the 10,000 chickens, not just one or two. Usually I wait about to see who else makes it on. And then it records everything. So people will always go back and watch it if they feel the need to. But so the baby goats, there's two little baby goats. I'm telling you, they're healthy. And they're all happy. I trimmed their hooves today. Everyone's hooves, not the baby goats, but the other goats. They needed it badly. And the funny thing is that since the baby goats arrived Monday, Kira, my foster fail, which is now adopted, blue heeler, she is like in protection mode. She goes and sits next to the goat condo, like on full on watch duty. Who are you? What are you doing? And same thing with the chickens. She's like on high alert, hangs out with the chickens, and protects them. It's awesome. I got some coyotes that are across on the neighbor's property, so I got to watch all that. And you know what we'll do with coyotes if they cross over that line. So, but she's been good. She's such a keeper, man. Good girl she is, aren't you? Good job, Roger Belly. Roger Belly. Yes, I will. You're the good girl you are. But I appreciate hanging out. Huh, baby girl. Oh, wait, a few more minutes. Let me see here. I'll be right back. Hey, Bradley, how are you, buddy? I think I want to read the book that was written for you, bub. And it's How the Grinch Stole Yeah, it's like just classic. Dedicated to Teddy Owens. Every Who down in Whoville liked Christmas a lot. But the Grinch, who lived just north of Whoville, did not. The Grinch hated Christmas the whole Christmas season. Now, please don't ask why. No one quite knows the reason. It could be his head wasn't screwed on just right. It could be, perhaps, that his shoes were too tight. But I think that the most likely reason of all may have been that his heart was 2 sizes too small. Bradley, it kind of looks like you a little bit. Hey, TNT04. Glad you made it. But whatever the reason, his heart or his shoes, he stood there on Christmas Eve, hating the Whos, staring down from his cave with a sour, grinchy frown at the warm lighted windows below in their town. For a new every Who down beneath was busy now hanging a mistletoe wreath. Got a lab rat out of my driveway. Bradley, you don't know what you're talking about. And they're hanging their stockings. He snarled with a sneer. Tomorrow is Christmas. It's practically here. Then he growled with his Grinch fingers nervously drumming. I must find some way to stop Christmas from coming. For tomorrow he knew. Some things are just classics, just like Wizard of Oz. All the Who's girls and boys would wake bright and early. They'd rush for their toys, and then, oh, the noise, 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 noise. That's one thing he hated. The noise, 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 noise. Because they're celebrating Christmas. When the Who's young and old would sit down to a feast, and they'd feast, and they would feast, and they would feast, 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 and feast. They would feast on Who pudding and rare Who roast beef. Actually, it's roast beast, which was something the Grinch couldn't stand in the least. I mean, they're eating good. I got stuff in the kitchen right now cooking, so I can smell it. Tonight might be a short presentation of my reading and go chow down on some steak and some baked potatoes and some Brussels sprouts. And then they do something he liked least of all. Every Who down in Whoville, the tall and the small, would stand close together with Christmas bells ringing. They'd stand hand in hand, and the Who's would start singing. They'd sing and they'd sing and they'd sing, 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 and sing. And the more the Grinch thought of this Who Christmas sing, the more the Grinch, well, I repeated that, thought, I must stop this whole thing. No, I didn't repeat it. So you gotta love Dr. Seuss. Why, for 53 years I've put up with it for now. I must stop this Christmas from coming, but how? Then he got an idea, an awful idea. The Grinch got a wonderful, awful idea. He's planning the mastermind. I know just what to do, the Grinch laughed in his throat, and he made a quick Santa Claus hat and a coat. And he chuckled and he chucked, what a great Grinchy trick. With this coat and his hat, I look just like St. Nick. All I need is a reindeer. The Grinch looked around, but since reindeer are scarce, there was none to be found. Did that stop the old Grinch? No. The Grinch simply said, if I can't find a reindeer, I'll make one instead. So he called his dog Max when he took some red thread and he tied a big horn on the top of his head. I think that's like the most classic part of this whole book is the little dog that became a reindeer. And then he loaded some bags and some old empty sacks on a ramshackle sleigh and he hitched up to old Max. And the Grinch said, get up! And the sleigh started down toward the homes where the Who's lay a snooze in their town. Something tells me, though, gravity's going to get the best of them. Let's see what happens. All their windows were dark, quite snow filled the air. All the Who's were all dreaming sweet dreams without care. When he came... Oh. My computer went off. Sorry, guys. When he came to the first little house on the square, this is stop number 1, the old Grinchy Claus hissed. Then he slid down the chimney, a rather tight pinch. But if Santa could do it, then so could the Grinch. Then he stuck his head out of the fireplace flue, where the little Who stockings all hung in a row. These stockings, he grinned, are the first things to go. Not very Christmassy, is it? Maybe it'll get better. Let's see what happens. What do you think, Bradley? Then he slithered and slunk, with a smile most unpleasant, around the whole room, and he took every present. Pop guns and bicycles and roller skates and drums, checkerboards, tricycles, popcorn, and plums. And he stuffed them in bags. Then the Grinch very nimbly stuffed all the bags, one by one, up the chimney. He took all the lights. He took all the presents. He wants a bah humbug Christmas. Then he slunk to the Who's feast. He took the Who pudding. He took the roast beast. He cleaned out that icebox as quick as a flash. Why, that Grinch even took their last can of Who hash. I should make Kira a reindeer, right? I think she'd make a good one. Put some horns on her. I got a Christmas hat I can put on her. I thought about putting this on Norman, the big alpine goat that I have. He's such a good boy. I trimmed his hooves today, and he was such a good boy. With the help of Nicolette and Alden and Kira, we got a lot done. Then he stuffed all the food up in the chimney with glee, and now, grinned the Grinch, I will stuff up the tree. So not only did he take all the presents and all the lights and all the food, he's actually going to take the tree too. And the Grinch grabbed the tree and he started to shove. When he heard a small sound like the coo of a dove, he turned around fast and he saw a small Who. Little Cindy Lou who was not more than 2. The Grinch had been caught by this tiny Who daughter who'd got out of bed for a cup of cold water. She stared at the Grinch and said, Santa Claus, why? Why are you taking our Christmas tree? Why? But you know that old Grinch was so smart and so slick. He thought up a lie and he thought it up quick. Why, my sweet little tot, the fake Santa Claus lied. There is a light on his tree that won't light on one side. So I'm taking it home to my workshop, my dear. I'll fix it up there, and then I'll bring it back here. And his fib fooled the child, and then he patted her head, and he got her a drink, and he sent her to bed. And when Cindy Lou Who went to bed with her cup, he went to the chimney and stuffed the tree up. Then the last thing he took was the log for their fire. Then he went up the chimney, himself the old liar. On their walls he left nothing but hooks and some wire. And the one speck of food that he left in the house was a crumb that was even too small for a mouse. Hey, Bradley, can you hear me? Sorry, guys. Hey, Bradley, can you hear me? Or if anyone can hear me, can you just give me a thumbs up? Hey, thanks for joining. Hey, Jordan. Thanks for joining, buddy. Haven't talked to you in a while. Then the last thing he took was a log for the fire. Then he went up the chimney, himself the old liar. On their walls he left nothing but hooks and some wire. And the one speck of food that he left in the house was a crumb that was even too small for a mouse. One second, y'all. Then he did the same thing to the other Who's houses, leaving crumbs much too small for the other Who's mouses. Hey, Dave. I'm reading The Grinch. We're halfway through my 12 days here. I figured, why not? It was 15:15, all the Who's still in bed, all the Who's still a snooze when he packed up his sled. Packed it up with their presents, the ribbons, the wrappings, the tags, and the tinsel, the trimmings, and the trappings. "3,000 feet up the side of Mount Crumpet, he rode with his load to the tip-top to dump it. Pooh-pooh to the Who's, he was grinchiously humming. They're finding out now that no Christmas is coming. They're just waking up. I know just what they'll do. Their mouths will hang open a minute or two. When the Who's down in Whoville will all cry boo-hoo." You think he's pulling a fast one on him, but I don't think he is. That's a noise, grinned the Grinch, that I simply must hear. So he paused, and the Grinch put his hand to his ear, and he did hear a sound rising over the snow. It started in low, and then it started to grow. Something tells me that the Grinch is going to see and hear happy people. It couldn't be so, but it was, well, very merry. Down at Whoville, the Grinch popped his eyes. Then he shook. What he saw was a shocking surprise. My reading is so perfect that Kira is below me, between my feet, sound asleep and snoring. She's been working hard. Since I had the baby goats, she has been working hard. Every Who down in Whoville, the tall and the small, was singing without any presents at all. He hadn't stopped Christmas from coming. It came. Somehow or other, it came just the same. Because at the end of the day, Christmas is not just about presents. It's about being around friends and family. And you know what? At the end of the day, Christmas is about Jesus Christ and enjoying that if you're Christian. Hey, Alyssa, thanks for joining. You will soon have a baby I can read to. Coming in January. I'm reading The Grinch. And the Grinch, with his Grinch feet, ice cold in the snow, stood puzzling and puzzling. How could this be so? It came without ribbons, it came without tags, it came without packages, boxes, or rags. And he puzzled 3 hours till his puzzler was sore. Then the Grinch thought of something he hadn't before. Maybe Christmas, he thought, doesn't come from a store. Maybe Christmas, perhaps, means a little bit more. And what happened then? Well, in Whoville, they say, that the Grinch's small heart grew 3 sizes that day. And the minute his heart didn't feel quite too tight, he whizzed with his load through the bright morning light, and he brought back the toys and the food for the feast. And he is using gravity to go back down to Whoville. That's what I'm saying. And he himself, the Grinch, carved the roast beast. The end. A short one and a quick one. I'll race out and go get some food. Enjoy it with my guest. And but I actually had a little gift today. Bev, Dave, you know Bev. She's beating you to it, buddy. She sent me a 5 or 6 pound bag of gummy bears, and she heard that the library did not have Frosty the Snowman because it got lost, the children's book at the library. So I got a box in the mail, and I got Frosty the Snowman, and I got a big bag of gummy bears. I mean, pretty cool. Pretty cool. I have another surprise coming, actually. From actually, well, I can't say who just yet. But once, hey, Mama. My mama's on YouTube. I gotta say hi to my mama. Everyone just hold on for 1 second, and I want to read Frosty the Snowman. But anyway, it was nice to have that box. It was a big surprise. I have to go down to the wood shop. That's where the UPS guy drops everything off. And I got Christmas lights down there. We got some boots down there. all kinds of stuff. So, but let's read Frosty the Snowman. Frosty the Snowman. This is like a classic. That and Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer. It all started with the snow, the first snow of the season. As every child knows, there's a certain magic to the very first snow, and when it falls on the day before Christmas. My camera's not too good on the laptop. I got to get a better camera, and I'll get that, but sorry, Mama. Children, back to your seats, called the teacher. The snow can wait. I've hired Professor Hinkle, the magician, to entertain us for the Christmas party. Unfortunately, just about the worst magician in the world. And so I put the eggs into my magic hat, said Professor Hinkle. Abracadabra, and voila! The eggs were turned into a mess. Where is my rabbit? Hocus Pocus, where are you? He didn't know that his rabbit Hocus Pocus was hiding in the hat. I got some fresh eggs I can try. I don't want to waste them though, because they're really good. And they're for breakfast. The only thing his hat is good for is the trash can, said Professor Hinkle. But the hat didn't stay in the trash for long. The hat, with Hocus Pocus underneath, hopped out the door. That was when the bell rang. The children were free for the whole Christmas holiday. So they're taking off and chasing the rabbit in the hat because it is time for Christmas holiday. Hey, look at the snow, cried the children as they ran outside. They worked together to build the first snowman of the season. Once the children had given him eyes, a nose, and a mouth, it was time to name him. How about Frosty, said Karen. Frosty the Snowman. The children danced around Frosty as they sang about his button of coal. Come back here, you, cried Professor Hinkle. Hocus Pocus. Suddenly, a gust of wind blew the hat onto Frosty's head. What do you think happened? Huh? I think I know. Happy birthday, said the snowman. Karen gasped and said, the hat brought Frosty to life. It must be magic. When Professor Hinkle heard that, he wanted the hat back. But it's not yours anymore, protested Karen. The hat will make me a millionaire, said the greedy magician, taking the hat back. Hocus Pocus felt that the hat really did belong to Frosty, so he hopped back to Frosty and the children as fast as he could to return the magic hat. Happy birthday, said Frosty again as soon as the hat was placed on his head. Hey, I said my first words. I'm alive! What a neat thing that happened to a nice guy like me. The magic hat made Frosty dance around. The children cheered as Frosty began to laugh and, play with them. There had never been such a wonderful winter day. Now, how cool would it be to have Frosty the Snowman as your buddy? They'll be making snowballs and other snowmen and snow women and snow kids. Pretty cool. When the sun peeked out from behind the clouds, Frosty exclaimed, "Oh, I'm all wishy-washy. I'm starting to melt." The children knew they had to take Frosty someplace where he'd never melt, like the North Pole. They decided to go to the railroad station and find a train for Frosty. Let's have a parade through town, shouted Frosty. Come on, kids, follow the leader. So they are dancing through town. All too soon, it was time for the train and Frosty to leave. I'll go with you, Frosty, said Karen. I'm sure I'll be back in time for supper. Karen, Frosty, and Hocus Pocus jumped into the refrigerated boxcar on the freight train and headed north. No one saw Professor Hinkle sneak under the train car and hold on. Look at that, right? A refrigerated boxcar is a splendid way to travel. Splendid, that is, if one is a snowman or a furry-coated rabbit. But for a little girl like Karen, it was just too cold. So when the freight train made a stop, Frosty got them all out. No one saw Professor Hinkle jump off too. Frosty took Karen and Hocus Pocus to a wooded glen where they found animals decorating the trees for their big celebration. They knew Santa Claus was coming that night. After Hocus Pocus spoke to the animals, they agreed to build a campfire to keep Karen warm. But it didn't take long for Professor Hinkle to catch up with the friends. Get on my shoulders, Karen, cried Frosty. Frosty, since he was snow, was the fastest belly whopper in the world. Soon he and Karen were sliding down a hill, leaving that greedy Professor Hinkle far behind. At the bottom of the hill was a tiny greenhouse for growing tropical poinsettias. For Christmas, it was the perfect place for Karen to stay warm. Frosty, you'll melt in here, warned Karen. I'll only stay inside for a minute, Frosty assured her. But that nasty Professor Hinkle caught up with them once again. He locked the door, trapped the friends inside. Mr. Hinkle is not like a nice guy, I don't think. That night, Hocus Pocus led Santa Claus to the greenhouse to save Frosty, but then poor Frosty had melted completely. Don't cry, Karen, said Santa kindly. Frosty's not gone for good. You see, he was made out of Christmas snow. You can bet your boots that when a good jolly December wind kisses it, it'll turn it into Christmas snow all over again. Just watch. Santa opened the door, and when the wind whirled in and out, Frosty was back. Santa was about to place the magic hat on Frosty's head when Professor Hinkle shouted, I want that hat, and I want it now. Santa replied, if you touch this hat, I'll never bring you another Christmas present. Go home right now and write, I am very sorry for what I did to Frosty's 100 zillion times. Then maybe, just maybe, you'll find something in your stocking tomorrow morning. Very sorry indeed. And he ran straight home writing. See, when Santa says jump, we all jump. Right. We got you, Santa. We hear it. Hey, Bev, I'm reading your book. And we're eating the gummy bears. Happy birthday, said Frosty once more. Karen was happy to see her friend again, but now it was time to go home. Santa put Karen in his sleigh and promised her that he would take Frosty back to the North Pole with him. Karen hated to say goodbye to Frosty, but Santa said that Frosty could return every year with the magical Christmas snow. Frosty waved goodbye as he hurried on his way. He shouted a promise to return the following Christmas, and every year he did just that. Merry, Merry Christmas. Now, see, that is awesome. These are books I read when I was a kid. I mean, you got the red hen, the pokey little puppy, the elephant, Toodle, and Caboose. Actually, the little red caboose. Remember that one? The shy little kitten. Remember that one? The tawny, scrawny lion. Remember that one? And Scuffy, the tugboat. Remember that one? And the red hen for sure. The red hen and the pokey little puppy. I had those when I was a little kid. So, little golden book. Like, they are the classics, right? So, again, thank you all for coming on board and watching. I'm going to go have some dinner and enjoy my time with my friends that are visiting. And so thank you so much. And thank you for the book. And Mama's over here on this YouTube side. Love you, Mama. Thanks for watching. And y'all have a good night. And tomorrow night, Possibly. I might be down in the Smoky Mountains tomorrow. I may not be able to get back, but we will see what happens. All right. Thank you all so much. Enjoy. Have a good night. Subscribe, like, share. Please, 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 please leave a comment. Give your parents a hug. Tell them you love them. And thank you for watching again. And much appreciated. So everyone have a good night. Kira's having a good night. She's sleeping. She's out. Bye, everybody.